Welcome back to Financial Market Insights for Traders. I'm your host, Sophia. And in today's episode, we're diving deep into a token that's been quietly making waves in the DeFi and Web3 space, Mantra, also known as OM. As crypto markets continue to evolve and mature, there's a lot of curiosity around where projects like Mantra are headed. Specifically, what does the price outlook look like for OM in 2025 and beyond? And more importantly, is this token something you should be watching or even trading? Today, we're going to explore Mantra's fundamentals, break down the price predictions for multiple scenarios, assess long term potential, and talk through the key risks and advantages that could shape its trajectory. By the end of this episode, you'll have a much clearer idea of where OM might fit into your trading or investing strategy. So let's get into it. What is Mantra OM? At its core, Mantra is a decentralized finance platform that operates across Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. Its primary focus is staking, lending, governance, and more recently, NFTs and GameFi. It's part of a new generation of DeFi protocols aiming to bring more user control and more transparency into digital finance. The OM token powers the ecosystem. Holders use it for staking rewards, governance voting, and accessing platform services. What sets Mantra apart is its strong emphasis on community governance. Users don't just use the platform, they help shape its future. Now that we've covered what it is, let's shift gears into what you're really here for: the price outlook. Mantra, OM, price outlook for 2025. There are a few different scenarios we need to consider for where OM could land in 2025, and each is based on the broader direction of the crypto market. Let's start with the bullish case. In a strong bull market, let's say Bitcoin breaks past previous all-time highs, institutional capital starts flowing back into DeFi, and Web3 regains its narrative. WEM could easily see a run toward the $1 to $1.50 range. That's not just speculation. If WEM continues expanding its ecosystem and user base, we could see significant appreciation. What would drive this? First, continued DeFi adoption. If retail and institutional users gravitate toward decentralized staking and lending, especially if regulations make centralized options less attractive, WEM could benefit significantly. Second, strategic partnerships. If Mantra lands integrations with other major chains or institutional platforms, that brings new capital and user traffic into its orbit. Third, token utility. If the developers enhance the tokenomics, say by increasing staking rewards or tightening the circulating supply, that could incentivize long-term holding and reduce sell pressure. And finally, the regulatory environment. If DeFi finds itself in a favorable or even just a stable regulatory framework by 2025, the influx of institutions could really drive value into projects like Mantra. That's your bullish case. Now, let's temper expectations with a more moderate scenario. If market growth continues, but at a steady, unspectacular pace, let's call it a sideways or slightly bullish market, WEM could still land comfortably in the 50 cents to 80 cents range. Not explosive, but certainly a respectable return from current levels. In this case, adoption grows, but not exponentially. Competition stays strong. Regulatory clarity improves, but with limitations. WEM holds its ground in the DeFi space, but doesn't dominate. Still, this is the kind of environment where steady, risk-managed traders can do very well, especially if they're trading the token on platforms that support CFDs, like crystalballmarkets.com. And then there's the bearish case. Let's say the macro turns sour, crypto markets enter another prolonged downturn, or regulations come down hard on DeFi. In that kind of environment, OM may struggle to stay above 30 cents. Maybe it even dips lower. There are a few risks to consider here. DeFi is still in the regulator's crosshairs. If harsh laws or restrictions are introduced, especially in the US or Europe, it could choke off innovation or at least slow adoption. Then there's the issue of competition. Mantra isn't the only game in town. Aave, Compound, and MakerDAO are all fighting for the same market share, and they've got bigger communities and deeper liquidity pools. So where OM goes from here will depend on how well it executes, how fast it innovates, and how effectively it captures attention in a crowded field. Key factors that will shape WEM's price in the years ahead. Let's break this down into tangible variables. First, DeFi and Web3 adoption. If this space continues to mature and doesn't get swallowed up by centralized finance rebadged as crypto, then platforms like Mantra stand to benefit. Second, supply and demand dynamics. The total supply of OM is fixed at just under 889 million tokens. What matters is how many of those are locked in staking, burned, or otherwise removed from circulation. Tokenomics will be key. Third, institutional interest. If major financial players begin incorporating DeFi staking and governance into their infrastructure, LEM's value proposition could become a lot more appealing. Mantra would need to ensure it's compliant, scalable, and secure. Fourth, Bitcoin's influence. Like it or not, WEM's price is still tied to the wider crypto market, and the wider crypto market is still tied to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin rises in 2025, OM could rise with it. And finally, innovation and expansion. Can Mantra keep building? Can it pivot to new use cases like real-world assets, cross-chain interoperability, or enhanced DAO governance? If so, it can stay relevant even as trends shift. Long-term outlook, 2026 and beyond. If Mantra continues expanding into new blockchains and solidifies its presence in the DeFi space, WEM could hit $2 or more between 2026 and 2027. If it achieves mass adoption or becomes a go-to governance model for other platforms, $5 or higher by 2030 isn't out of the question. But let's be clear, those kinds of long-term gains depend on a lot going right. Regulation, adoption, execution. If DeFi fizzles or the space becomes overrun with safer, centralized alternatives, WEM could just as easily fade out. So, should you invest in OM? That depends. If you're looking for a long-term bet on DeFi, governance, and staking, and you believe the future of finance is decentralized, then OM might be worth a closer look. It has a strong community, real use cases, and operates on multiple blockchains. Those are all positives. On the flip side, you've got regulatory risk, competitive pressure, and volatility to consider. Like any altcoin, WEM can swing hard in both directions. It's not a set and forget asset. You'll want to stay active and informed. And if you're a trader rather than an investor, trading OM via crypto CFDs could be a smart way to capitalize on price movements without holding the token. Platforms like crystalballmarkets.com make that possible, with low fees and leverage options for active traders. That wraps up this episode of Financial Market Insights for Traders. If you found today's deep dive into Mantra helpful, be sure to subscribe, share this episode, and head over to crystalballmarkets.com for more analysis, trading tools, and up-to-the-minute insights. I'm Sophia, and I'll see you next time. Until then, trade smart, stay skeptical, and never stop learning.